Firstly, thanks very much for making time to come in and see me today. Thank you very much for allowing me to use your company to do my university assignment. It's much appreciated, and I enjoyed it as well. So the element today is to give you some feedback about how I went with my review. And I need to do this in roughly about 10 minutes, okay? So we need to move through it fairly quickly. And if you've got some questions, we can ask them then. And if you need some more detail, I'll give you some more detail later on. First and foremost, what I need to do is tell you about the safety rules in this meeting room. If the alarm goes off, it'll be a continuous loud sound. And you've seen the muster station outside, muster point. That's where we will all go, okay? So there's no alarms planned, so if the alarm does go, we leave everything and we walk straight out. Okay? So I'll get straight to the point today. OH&S legal framework. It's very important to understand how the framework is. So there's an act and a regulation, okay? And they're mandatory, okay? They're not flexible in that sense. There is a code of practice, standards, and industry standards and guideline notes. Okay, so they can be used as a reference and often are. Okay, code of practice can also become a regulation. Regulation can become an act. Okay. So as I said, this is my second assignment, and most people in Australia are able to use a small company in Australia. Lucky enough, you guys have some exposure to Australian clients with your shipping. So I got your message in, Mr. Tam, that you wanted me to use a second list, one from the Australian Worksite Australia, which I have done. So I've used my 10-point checklist, and I've also used this list, and I'll give you feedback on both of them, okay?
Yeah, in fact, we are particularly interested in this WorkSafe Australia because we have a lot of customers coming from this region.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit about your company for the university's information. You're based in Kuantan, Malaysia, Stevedore & Company. You've been operating for 5 years. You've staff of about 16. You're actually the smallest Stevedore company in Kuantan, and you normally work for international oil and gas clients. So today we're going to use the regulation from WorkSafe Australia, and we're going to use the checklist that they have provided in one of their code of practice, which is working safely with general cargo and steel products. And also, I've taken my 10-point checklist from OH&S regulations from Australia. Recognise that Malaysian OH&S is governed by the OSH Act of 1994, and you guys are very familiar with that. And also, I understand that you use the international labour law for some of the other stuff you do in the port where it's covered under those laws. One of the questions is why is OH&S compulsory? You've got a legal requirement in most countries and state regulations. Your license operated in the port is governed by having an OH&S system, and you have a duty of care. And the duty of care system is the same in Malaysia as it is in Australia and it is in the UK. So I was impressed to find that out. Non-mandatory reasons, you've got a moral responsibility. Nishimi, you spoke to me when I came down to your office and you said you have a personal interest in safety and you take pride that your staff don't get injured. Shireen, you're the same. When we walked around on site, you have a very obvious passion and interest for it, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And obviously for cost saving, if you run a safe operation, generally people are going to work better and you're going to have less downtime from any safety issues, okay? And also their reputation. These are the penalties for non-compliance in Australia. I won't go into it in great detail, but you can see that there's considerable fines, including the distinct possibility of going to jail, okay, for a serious breach. So what I mainly focused in on is I wanted to see documentation and I wanted to see implementation on site. And The first list that I went through was my 10-point list, and then I went through the WorkSafe Australia list. So we're at the feedback stage now, where I've analysed the information and I've put it down on PowerPoint to give you feedback. So the areas of compliance from both lists, in general, I have very high compliance. Okay? And the areas were clean, well controlled, PPE was in good condition, and it was well worn. Okay? There was appropriate risk mitigation. Shireen, I recognise that you use your risk matrix and you understand the hierarchy control, which was very good. Okay? The control measures were reviewed on a reasonably regular basis, so that was also a very strong point. So if we were doing a review in Australia, we would have no major concerns for what we've seen. Okay, in fact, it would be considered quite good. Okay, and the cooperation was very noticeable. So the areas, like every other, there will always be some areas that there's room for improvement. Okay. The first thing I noticed is some of the signs are quite old and faded, and they could do being renewed. Okay. When we walked around, you had water jetting machines and stuff like that, and some of them were quite noisy. And I asked how noisy they were, and the Sheila, you said you'd look into that.
Yeah, we are sourcing for the company for noise monitoring, which related to Australian standard.
Yes, thank you very much. It's an interesting thing if you can manage your noise and your noise exposure. It's one of those things that people literally forget. Shireen, the risk mitigation, as I said, was very obvious that it was done on your high risk areas, but some of the areas that were done, I'd consider reasonably high risk, like some of the aluminium ladders going into containers and stuff like that. We couldn't find any actual risk matrices for them. Right? I believe they've been done, but when we actually looked in your files, we couldn't find any. And I think that could be an area where you could, possibly have a look at that and say, yeah, you could update that.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good, Mark. Very important point that we're going to get into it and get better understanding of that.
Okay, thank you. So on the second checklist from WorkSafe Australia, Mr. Tan, we looked at some of the things were out of your company's control. So one of the items, there was only two items that were picked up, and one was dunnage, the wood and stuff like that you use for packing and things on the ships. Some of that was in bad condition, and you guys told me to get some splinters and scratches and things like that, with some nails in them. I know it's out of your control, it's not your dunnage, but because your staff work on them, I recommend that you use that, that you add that to your checklist. Backwards.
Yeah, this is a very important point, and certainly I will look into it and see what I can do.
Yes. And the second one, when I asked to have a look at the lifting equipment, Shireen, all your lifting equipment had all certification and was in very good condition. However, the lifting equipment that you guys were utilising on the vessel, we couldn't find any proper certification to say that it was in date for testing. Eventually you found some, but realistically, when we were looking for it, it should have been readily available to make sure that the stuff was in good condition. Okay, so that's an area that it's relatively simple to fix up. It will be good to fix it up. So an overview from the audit findings, right? In general, the audit was very good. If I was a client, I'd be very happy with what I've seen. Okay, high cooperation, as I said before. So we went through both lists. The first checklist, I had 10 points, and there was 3 minor areas that there was observations for improvement. Okay. The second checklist from the Australian WorkSafe. Okay. Minor things that can be improved. So overall, very good guy. Very well done. Recommendations going forward. I recommend that you do some more training. I recommend that you set up an audit schedule. Okay. I recommend that the audit schedule, Mr. Tan, and the audit results goes directly to you, because at the moment they go to the supervisors. However, you should really review them at a personal level yourself. Okay. Okay.
Yes, I will set up a team that directly reported me
Yeah.
about this one, and maybe I will look into establishing an external audit also,
Yes.
independent.
That would be very good, and I think you would benefit from that. And also, you're talking about working towards the ISO 18001, that would help a lot. Okay? So, we're going to run out of time. So, again, appreciate you helping me out, and I hope this has been of some help for you. And if you've got some more questions, by all means, please let me know.
Thank you, Mark, for your presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you again.